Lil Durk in a hole for basically some BS. And right now we're gonna show the paper.
This all erupted right after an inmate came forward detailing the harsh conditions Lil Durk was allegedly facing behind bars. Then boom, brand new footage of his release floods the internet and everybody loses it. Even G Herbo had been low-key hinting that something big was brewing. But listen to this, nobody saw this curveball coming. The real reason tied to Durk's release? Curl had caught the entire industry off guard. Let's really unpack what happened here. Fresh visuals of Lil Durk started circulating at lightning speed. A statement from his legal team lit the match and set the timeline on fire. They laid out serious internal concerns, restricted access, alleged harsh treatment, and circumstances that had fans genuinely fearing for his health and safety. That right there shifted the energy and pushed everything into overdrive. Now fans are side-eyeing other rappers, saying the support hasn't been loud enough. And hold up, that conversation is getting louder by the day. To really grasp why that release moment hit like a shockwave, you've got to understand the full sequence of events. On October 24, 2024, Durk was taken into custody in Broward County by U.S. Marshals near Miami International Airport. Just 24 hours before that, on October 23rd, 5 members of his Only the Family circle were formally indicted. Those 5 included Kevon London, Grant DeAndre, Dantrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and Asa Houston. Durk was identified as the individual prosecutors claim coordinated the alleged operation. He was later transferred to Los Angeles and formally arraigned on November 15, 2024, where he entered a not guilty plea. The judge ruled that he would remain detained without bond. Every single motion attempting to get him released was shut down. In December 2024, bail was denied once again. Prosecutors referenced recorded jail calls, alleging rule violations and claiming he used other inmates' phone accounts to initiate 3-way calls in May 2025. A separate bail review in June 2025 was also rejected due to reported jail infractions. Then another motion got denied, with prosecutors claiming he had attempted to flee to Dubai before his arrest. Every time his team pushed for freedom, the response didn't change. Straight up, no. Then August 2025 arrived, and the situation escalated. Durk was thrown into solitary after officials allegedly discovered an Apple Watch in his possession. The Special Housing Unit, known as the SHU, is not your average cell. It's full isolation, no sugarcoating it. Lil Durk spent 1,300 days over 4 long months. He was granted just 1 phone call a month, no face-to-face visits, no real connection to the outside world. On January 6, 2026, his attorneys filed a motion arguing that the extended solitary stretch violated federal regulations and possibly the 8th Amendment. A review hearing followed the very next day on January 7, 2026. By around January 15, 2026, Durk was transferred out of the SHU and placed back into general population. A follow-up hearing regarding the prolonged SU confinement had been scheduled for February 9, 2026, but it was canceled since the matter had already been addressed. He was already back in general population. Since then, there have been no reports of new infractions or custody changes. Durk is still in federal custody. He remains held without bond. He is still staring down charges that carry the possibility of life behind bars. But listen to this. For the first time in months, he can now make regular calls, receive visits, and interact with others. For fans watching every court date like it's Game 7 of the finals, that development felt huge. His own attorney described it as a small yet meaningful victory. And hold up, that wording matters. It's progress, yes, but it's limited. The real fight hasn't even begun. The charges are the real hurricane forming. The reason Durk is inside a federal detention center instead of in a recording booth traces back to allegations that sound like a scripted crime drama, except every person involved is real and someone actually lost their life. He's charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder for hire, 1 count of using interstate facilities to carry out murder for hire resulting in death, and 1 count
Life?
This is a life imprisonment case. There's
Okay.
no in between. This isn't state court. There's no,
Right.
hey, we'll do 10, 15. It's a life case.
That statement alone tells you the whole story. There's no gray area here, no soft landing, no slipping out the back door. Federal court doesn't move like that, especially not when the stakes are this heavy. Drew Feinland made it clear during his sit-down with DJ Vlad that federal and state cases operate on completely different levels. And listen, that gap between the
State cases are kind of middle school basketball, and federal cases are kind of the NBA all-star in terms of the complexity and
He basically broke it down like this. If we're talking state court, that's middle school basketball. But federal court, that's the National Basketball Association all-star level when it comes to pressure, precision, and complexity. According to prosecutors, the roots of this case go back to November 2020, when Durk's close friend and fellow OTF artist King Von, born Davon Bennett, was shot and killed outside an Atlanta nightclub during a confrontation tied to people connected to Quando Rondo. The government claims that after those events, Lil Durk put a bounty on Quando Rondo's life. Hold up, let that sink in. Prosecutors say that alleged bounty triggered a shooting attempt on August 19, 2022, at a gas station near the Beverly Center in Los Angeles. Quando Rondo survived that incident. His 24-year-old cousin, Saviah Robinson, did not. Robinson lost his life in that gunfire. Prosecutors insist the evidence supporting these accusations is extensive and layered. They've presented flight records they say show OTF members traveled from Chicago to California using credit cards allegedly connected to Durk's label. They also cite hotel reservations and communications that they argue directly tie the group to the alleged scheme. The government further alleges Durk orchestrated the plan by offering what federal documents describe as lucrative music opportunities and cash payments as motivation. The picture prosecutors are laying out is intense. They're arguing that a chart-topping artist leveraged his platform and resources to target someone, and that the situation spiraled, costing an innocent man his life. Adding even more gravity to the case is the reported cooperation of a co-defendant known as Jam, whose real name is Jamal Norman. Authorities claim he supplied information that implicates Durk, potentially.
they are locked in. They're in front of grand juries. There are multiple interviews.
Drew Findling made it crystal clear that in the federal system, cooperating witnesses aren't just casually talking. They sit through multiple interviews and testify before grand juries. If they suddenly switch up or try to walk back their words, they can get hit with perjury or false statement charges stacked on top of what they're already facing. Hold up, that kind of pressure is serious. The structure is designed to keep them locked into every word they've said, and most are not about to gamble by flipping the script. Federal cooperators don't usually get...
Because I don't know of another art form, and you have your finger on the pulse of rap as good as anybody in the world right now.
That reality makes this entire situation even more dangerous for Lil Durk. Prosecutors have also suggested he could be linked to other alleged bounties, including one involving a relative of a witness in a separate matter out of Chicago. No additional charges have officially been filed tied to those claims, but listen to this. The discovery in this case reportedly exceeds 30,000 pages. That mountain of paperwork is a major reason the trial keeps getting pushed back. The indictments may be the prosecution's sword, but the constant courtroom motions are the shield his legal team keeps lifting. And one of the biggest clashes unfolding right now centers on whether Durk's own music can be turned into evidence against him. We're talking about lyrics that prosecutors believe could help seal a life sentence. On February 4, 2026, the government moved to introduce song lyrics, music videos, and related imagery into trial, arguing the content reflects motive and intent. Just 5 days later, on February 9, 2026, the judge handed down a split ruling. Specific lines from the track Hanging with Wolves were excluded. Prosecutors had pointed to a bar about boarding a flight with a warrant and daring authorities could catch him. The judge decided those words suggested potential flight risk rather than directly proving murder-for-hire allegations, so they were kept out. But other lyrics and visuals remain under consideration and could still reach the jury. And hold up, that's where this turns intense. The debate—
I guarantee you that Vlad cannot tell me another musical genre in which the government plays the game.
He says this fight isn't just about Lil Durk. He positions it as something much larger, arguing that one specific genre and the artists who represent it are being unfairly targeted. He questions whether law enforcement actually understands the creative process behind music, or if they're taking art and reframing it as a confession. According to Drew Findling, that kind of misinterpretation isn't small. It can carry real consequences. And Russin, when creative expression gets blurred—
Our homework interviewing the producers and found out that that song and the Durk part of it was done 7 months before.
Drew Findling is describing a picture of prosecutors combing through thousands of rap bars, hunting for any lyric they can loosely tie to alleged criminal conduct. He even compared it to the kids' game Where's Waldo? And hold up, that analogy really lands. It implies the government isn't carefully weighing context, but scanning for fragments that appear to support their narrative. If a media personality can take the time to understand how punch-ins work, how studio sessions stretch for hours, and how verses are built line by line, then the people holding someone's future in their hands should be doing that same level of homework. These rulings can literally determine whether someone spends life behind bars, but Finley argues that level of diligence simply isn't happening, and that gap doesn't just impact one defendant. He says it affects an entire genre and the artists who create within it. A central piece of the defense approach focuses on the track Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, featuring Lil Durk and Babyface Ray. Prosecutors reference the song in a superseding indictment, alleging the lyrics glorified and monetized the death of Saviar Robinson and the attempted shooting of Quando Rondo. Finley forcefully disputed that interpretation.
He's got family. He's got his mom who he loves. He's got his dad who he's waited until 2019, after 26 years, to have a—
7 months. If that production timeline stands in court, it seriously undercuts the claim that the record was created to reference or profit from the incident. As Drew Findling put it bluntly, unless Lil Durk can see the future, the song couldn't possibly be about an event that hadn't happened yet. The defense also highlighted fan-edited YouTube cuts of the track that layered in dramatic sound effects, arguing those versions don't match the original release. Similar to viral clips of Quando Rondo reacting to his cousin's death, Finley emphasized that some of the dramatic edits were created by random individuals online. He stated those altered uploads have zero ties to Durk, Babyface Ray, or the labels behind the music. According to the defense, fan-made edits should never be treated as official material. Beyond the war over lyrics, the defense has submitted multiple motions attempting to dismantle the case entirely. In April 2025, they filed to dismiss. In November 2025, a motion alleging the grand jury was misled about altered lyrics was rejected. The defense also sought dismissal, citing reported threats made against the judge and prosecutor, arguing that such incidents compromised the integrity of the proceedings. That motion was denied as well. Another request, claiming the indictment lacked specificity, was turned down on November 18, 2025. Motion after motion denied, argument after argument shut down. Still, the defense continues to press forward, because when life imprisonment is on the table, you challenge everything. Durk's family has also spoken publicly. In their statement, they accuse the government of presenting inaccurate evidence to the grand jury. They maintain that Durk has always used music as storytelling, a way to channel pain and lived experience, and they've made it clear they won't remain silent while artists are scrutinized over their lyrics. Then comes the bond battle. Each time his attorneys have requested that he await trial from home instead of the Metropolitan Detention Center, the ruling has stayed the same: denied. The recurring concern remains: if released, would he attempt to flee? Prosecutors continue pointing to one central detail. When Durk was arrested on October 24, 2024, U.S. Marshals detained him near Miami International Airport. Authorities allege he was preparing to leave the country, referencing multiple international flights booked under his name and associates, including trips to Dubai and Switzerland. That allegation has carried significant weight in every bond hearing. The defense, however, responded with a detailed rebuttal. Drew Findling explained that his team obtained the full flight itineraries and discovered every booking ended in Dubai, not in the layover cities the prosecutors were pointing to. The government highlighted stops in locations like Rome, but the defense stressed that Dubai was the final destination on every ticket. Findley also broke down how the flights were actually booked: commercial seats, economy class, back rows, middle seats, and he made a blunt point that cuts through all the legalese. The argument is simple. Someone with Durk's wealth and worldwide fame isn't likely to escape by cramming into a middle seat on a 17-hour commercial flight. That would be uncomfortable, risky, and extremely visible for someone so recognizable. Findley argued these bookings were never serious escape plans. He said a private jet only became a consideration after commercial flights became impractical, not part of some dramatic getaway. The defense insists the travel plans were misrepresented and that the full picture tells a very different story. Then Findley dropped a detail most people following the case haven't heard. After the defense submitted the complete itineraries, the Federal Probation Office reviewed everything and determined that Durk was not a flight risk. That recommendation went to the court. The judge ultimately didn't follow it, but the fact that an independent federal officer tasked with assessing risk sided with the defense is huge. The proposed bond package is serious business. It includes $1 million in cash, $900,000 in real estate, $150,000 from an associate, around-the-clock armed security, and electronic monitoring. That's not light. That's a package designed to address every concern the court could raise. And still, the answer has been no. Findley has argued that Durk has powerful reasons to stay: children, a close family network, and a mother he loves deeply. He also rebuilt a relationship with his father in 2019 after years of estrangement, only for the pandemic to disrupt that connection.